Before we go anywhere, let's take a breath together. So, inhaling through your nose and slowly exhaling. Good. So, we've been on a journey through this whole series. We started by looking at what was taken from you. We looked at the lies you were told. We looked at the fear that kept you small. We looked at the questioning that woke you up. And so today we're going to ask the question that ties it all together. Who are you without what you were taught? Not asking this as a philosophical exercise, but just because the answer to this question changes everything. It's the answer that reveals your purpose, your power, your actual life. And I want to tell you what I found when I asked myself that question. So, for so long, I was living inside of a mask, a version of myself that was designed to keep me safe. That quiet girl who didn't speak up, the one who agreed to make peace, the one who suppressed what she knew didn't fit and I was supposed to believe. The one who needed approval, the one who was too afraid of judgment. That was the mask, and I wore it for a long time. Because the mask was safe, it kept me from being the black sheep. It kept me from being rejected. It kept me small enough that nobody would question me. But beneath the mask, there was also someone else, someone real, someone who knew things, someone who wanted to help, who wanted to guide others. I just couldn't see her because the mask was in the way. When I finally stripped away the conditioning, when I stopped wearing the mask, when I stopped trying to be what I was taught to be, I found myself. The real me, the healer me. And you know what? It wasn't surprise. It was more of a relief. Because deep down, I always knew I was a healer. I always knew I was meant to guide people. I always knew there was something in me that wanted to help facilitate and create transformation. The conditioning didn't create that. It was just covered up. So when I finally shed the conditioning, I wasn't finding something new. I was recognizing something that was always there. I was coming home to myself. The biggest shift, I didn't have to hide anymore. I didn't have to pretend to be someone I wasn't. I didn't have to agree with things that didn't feel true. I didn't have to make myself smaller so other people would be comfortable. I could just be myself, a healer, a guide, someone who speaks truth, and someone who puts herself out there, visible. And the moment I stopped hiding, everything changed. The anxiety decreased, the overwhelm shifted, the sense of being stuck gone. Because I wasn't fighting myself anymore. I wasn't using all my energy to maintain this mask. I was free to be who I actually was, or is. So now the question is, how did I know this was the real me? How did I distinguish between the conditioning and the truth? And the answer is simple. I could feel it in my body. When something was true for me, when it aligned who I actually was, I could feel it. It would light me up inside. It was an aliveness, like starting inside. There was no forcing, no pushing, no effort, just natural, like an organic yes. But when something was conditioning, when it was something that I was supposed to do or something that wasn't actually me, I could feel it too. And it would come up as frustration, forced. I was pushing against something, like I was pretending. So I learned to listen to my body. I learned to notice, does this light me up or does it feel heavy? Does this feel aligned or does it feel forced? And in my body, it never lied to me. My body always knew the difference. But something shifted. I want to say it was around 2021. I realized I was doing everything. I had so many projects started, so many things I was trying to pursue. Everything like lit me up. It was all these shiny objects. And I was doing everything. And then I was burning myself out. I was lighting the candle at both ends. And I finally asked myself, why am I so overwhelmed? If I love doing what I'm doing, then why am I overwhelmed? And then that's when I discovered something that really changed everything. I dug deeper into my astrology, into human design and the gene keys, and there's something else I can't think of the name. I know there's a few more things out there that fall down the astrological chain. But I learned more. I learned more things that were more crucial about myself and the way I do things. And so I'm a manifesting generator, hence why I like to do everything that lights me up. So it means I don't initiate things. I respond to what's presented to me. But I've been trying to initiate everything. Every little thing that lights me up. And it could be like where the ADD comes in a little bit. Because, I could have like 20 projects open, doing halfway through that never get finished. So, where I've been trying to do everything that lit me up all at once. And that's not how I'm designed to operate. I don't think anyone is. So I also learned that I have an emotional authority, which means when I feel excited about something or I get emotional over something, like I get all teary-eyed, but it's not like a sad teary-eyed. It's more of like a happy teary-eyed, or it just brings up some sort of emotion to me. And so I at least have to sit with something for 24 hours before I make an actual decision. Because what feels exciting in the moment, it may not be exactly mine to do. So I really have to let my nervous system settle so I can distinguish, is this my energy or external stimulation? And as I went deeper into my human design, into my gene keys, I realized something profound. This wasn't about changing who I was. This is about understanding how I operate. It was like learning my energetic blueprint, understanding my actual nature, my actual rhythm, the way of moving through the world. I learned that I'm introspective, that I do the deep inner work, and then I share the wisdom I've gained. I learned that I need to respond to what's presented to me and not chase every shiny object. I learned that my emotional nature is a feature and not a flaw. It's also how I navigate, how I know what's true, and how I discern. And once I understood this, once I stopped fighting my design and started trusting it, it changed everything. I stopped burning out. I stopped doing everything. I started doing what was actually mine to do. And the overwhelm disappeared. It went away. I still try and do things, but I know the outcome. I know what I have to do. So who am I without what I was taught? I am a healer. I am a guide. I am here to show people the way, not to tell them what to believe, not to give them the answers, but to guide them back to themselves, to facilitate their own awakening, to create the experience for them to heal. That's what lights me up. That's what feels alive to me and inside of me. That's what I'm meant to do. And here's what's wild. Once I realized that, once I owned that about myself, everything started to align. My business shifted, my content shifted, my relationships shifted. My whole life recognized around or reorganized around this knowing, because I was finally moving in the direction of my soul and where my soul was pulling me. I wasn't fighting against it myself anymore. I was trusting the process. I was letting what was meant to happen, and it's working. The thing that really shifted everything is I stopped caring about judgment. I stopped needing people's approval. I released the need to fit in. And once I did that, I was free. Because as long as you need someone's approval, you're controlled. As long as you are trying to fight in, it can't be yourself. As long as you're afraid of judgment, you're small. But the moment you stop caring, the moment you realize my worth is not dependent on other people's opinions, the moment you understand I am worthy just as I am, without anyone's permission or approval, everything changes. You show up differently, you speak differently, you move through the world differently, you take up space, you're visible, you're powerful. And that's exactly what happened to me. I started making videos. I started putting myself out there. I started speaking my truth. I started being who I actually am. And yes, some people didn't like that, and they're not going to. And yes, some people are going to judge me, but it doesn't affect me anymore because my worth isn't dependent on their opinions. My value isn't dependent on their approval. I know who I am, and that's enough. Here's something I understand now that I didn't understand before. What's meant to happen will happen the way it's supposed to. Not the way I think it should. Not the way I try and force it. But the way it's actually meant to unfold. And when I trust that, when I really trust that, everything gets easier. Because I'm not constantly trying to control the outcome. I'm not constantly second-guessing myself. I'm not constantly pushing or forcing or struggling. I'm just showing up. I'm doing the work. I'm being authentic. I'm trusting the process. And the rest unfolds naturally. This is what it means to be in conversation with God. Not trying to control God. Not trying to force God to do what I think should happen. Just trusting that there's intelligence guiding things. There's a flow. That is when I align with that flow. When I trust the process. When I trust my design, everything works. You know what I've realized? Happiness is an inside job. It's not dependent on external circumstances. It's not dependent on other people's approval. It's not dependent on having the right things or the right life. Happiness comes from being yourself, from living authentically, from doing work that lights you up, from trusting the process, from knowing who you are and being that, from understanding how you operate and working with your design instead of against it. And I can say this with certainty, I am truly happy. Not because everything is perfect, not because I have everything figured out, but because I'm me. I'm living as a healer I actually am. I'm guiding people through their awakening. I'm creating experiences that transform lives. I'm being visible, authentic, and powerful. I am no longer hiding. I am no longer suppressing who I am. I'm living as who I am, in alignment with how I actually operate. And that's happiness. That's real. So now here's what I want you to understand. When people find out who they actually are, when they strip away the conditioning and discover their true self, everything shifts. They stop being controlled. Because control requires that you don't trust yourself. Control requires that you look inside or outside for answers. Control requires that you stay small and compliant. But when you know who you are and you trust yourself, when you step into your power, you can't be controlled anymore. You become immune to manipulation. You become resistant to fear. You become free. They find their purpose because your purpose isn't something that you have to search for externally. Your purpose is encoded in who you actually are. It's in what lights you up. It's in what feels aligned. It's in what your soul is pulling you toward. And once you know who you are, your purpose becomes clear. You know what you're meant to do. You know why you're here. And you know what you're meant to contribute to the world. Now, when you step into that purpose, when you live it, when you become it, your whole life transforms. Your relationship transforms. Your work transforms. And your sense of yourself transforms. Because you're finally living as you. Not as what you were taught to be, not as what others expect you to be, but as who you actually are. Now, I want to say something important to everyone who's watching this and thinking, this sounds great, but I don't know who I am yet. And that feels overwhelming. So listen, you don't have to figure it out perfectly. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. Finding yourself is a process. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes being the willingness to try and to do things and notice. Does this feel good? Does this feel forced? It takes listening to your body. It takes trusting the small knowing inside of you, even when you don't have all the answers. It takes being patient with yourself. And here's what's important. It's safe to be who you actually are. There's nothing dangerous about being authentic. There's nothing wrong with being yourself. You don't have to be afraid of who you might become if you shed the conditioning, because who you are underneath the conditioning is good. It's real, it's powerful, and it's what the world needs. Here's the truth. Your soul already knows who you are. Your body knows who you are. Your intuition knows who you are. You might not have a conscious access to it yet, but you might not have the language for it yet, but it's there. It's deep inside you. There's a knowing about who you actually are and what you're meant to do, about what lights you up, about your purpose. Your job isn't to create that. Your job is to discover it. To strip away the conditioning layer by layer, to listen to what your body is actually telling you, to notice what lights you up and what feels heavy, to follow the thread of knowing, of your own knowing, to understand how you actually operate and to trust it. Because your soul does not lie. And your body does not lie. Your intuition does not lie. When something feels true, when something feels aligned, when something lights you up, that's your soul speaking. That's God inside of you speaking. That's you. And if you listen, if you trust, and if you follow that voice, you'll find yourself. You'll be coming home. So sit with this today. Who are you without what you were taught? What lights you up? And what makes you feel alive? What does your body know that your mind hasn't caught up to yet? And here's the deeper one. If you are completely yourself, with nothing to hide and nothing to prove, who would you be? What would you do? What would you create? How would you show up? So let's close the way we close every episode, by coming back to one place where truth lives. Your body, your nervous system, your direct experience. because your body knows who you are, even if your mind doesn't yet. Even if you haven't had the words for it yet, your body knows. So find a comfortable position wherever you are, letting your hands rest, and if you're driving, please don't. Let your shoulders drop, let your jaw unclench. And as we do these breaths, I want you to notice something. There is an aliveness inside of you, a knowing, a sense of who you actually are. It may be quiet right now. It may be buried under the conditioning, but it's there, and it's waiting for you to notice it. So taking our first breath in through the nose, gently holding at the top, and slowly releasing. Letting yourself come alive, letting yourself be seen. Second breath in through the nose, holding, and out all the way. Feel who you actually are beneath everything. Feel the aliveness of being yourself. And one more breath in. Hold. And release. Good. That feeling right there, that's you. That's who you actually are. Not the mask, not conditioning, just you. And you're allowed to be that. You're safe to be that. The world needs you to be that. So let yourself come home. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to ask the question, who am I without what I was taught? Because the question is the key to everything. It's the key to your freedom, your power, your purpose. So in the next episode, we're going to be bringing this all together. We're going to the finale. We're going to the finale. Coming home, God, soul, and you, the complete picture. Because this journey we've been on, from waking up to the religion's lies, to moving through the fear, to questioning, to finding yourself, it all comes together in one place. And that's a place where you live as you, where you're in conversation with God, where you're living your purpose, where you're understanding how you operate. Where we've come home. But before you go, I want to say this. If finding yourself is what you want, if you're ready to strip away the conditioning and discover who you actually are, Aligned to Wellness is a container for that work. It is not about learning concepts. It's not about embodying your truth. It's about learning to listen to your body. It's about trusting your intuition. It's about understanding how you operate. It's about building a life around who you actually are. In this membership, we do this work together. We practice, we support each other, we celebrate who we're becoming. It's a space where you reclaim yourself. If you're interested, the link is below. But whether you join or not, keep listening. And start listening. Start noticing what lights you up. Start trusting your body. Start understanding how you actually operate. Start becoming yourself, because that's where your freedom is. That's where your power is. That is where your happiness is. If this landed for you, share it, leave a comment, tell me what lights you up. Who are you without the conditioning? I read every comment. I see you finding yourself. I see you coming home. I'll see you in the finale of this series. Take care of yourself.